one score, our RAP score, which is a score between 1 and 100, where 1 is not good and 100 is excellent. So even if you have zero knowledge about NFTs, you can still very easily get into NFTs and buy a project that you like. We have 3 ways of monetizing currently. So one way is through our featured section. This is already working with other NFT platforms where projects that want to get featured are paying between 1 and 5 Ethereum for 24 hours. Our second way is through an affiliation with OpenSea. So all of these NFTs are currently available to buy. You can easily click on the OpenSea icon and continue to OpenSea, and we'll get an affiliation. And the third way is through a premium account. So some features are for free, and then other features will cost money. In terms of competitors, there's a lot of competitors that are doing technical analysis. There's almost none that are doing social analysis. There's just one that's doing Discord and Twitter like we are doing, but we wanted to build on top of what they're doing. So we're also doing the activity analysis and sentiment analysis. That's something that we're going to add in the near future. So we're not just going to tell you how much messages are being sent, but we're actually going to tell you if they're positive, negative, or neutral. We're raising 1.5 million. This is to help us, first of all, clean the information we're bringing in. Discord and Twitter are very dirty places. Lots of bots, lots of fake activity. So we want to use machine learning and NLP AI to help us clean all this information. We also want to build our own NFT, release our own NFT and token. And on top of that, we want to market. We want to build our marketing team. We've already contacted influencers. We just have to pay them so they can reach out to their audience. Amazing team. I know probably every CEO says this, but very, very quickly, our chairman, Amnon, veteran in the high-tech world, he actually was the co-founder of TuneViki, which is the first lyrics app. About 1 billion people are now using this technology. Myself, I'm from AdTech. I sold off my shares for the company I started. Our hands-on CTO, Billy, has also experience with smart contracts. We have absolutely amazing advisors. The most known of them is probably Ty Gisin, who is the former CEO of investing.com. So he has a lot of knowledge building financial platforms. That's it. Thank you very much.
Ite, thanks so much for presenting. I got a couple questions, and if anyone else in the audience has questions, be sure to post those in the YouTube live chat so that we can get to those as well. So for this, it's a super interesting space. It's taken a bit of a beating lately. That will be my 2 questions is, what do you see on the future of the NFT space overall? And what do you see in terms of the possibilities? I see something like this also being applied to general crypto and blockchain projects, and that being an even bigger use case.
Yeah, man, those are great questions. You know, sometimes being from the NFT space, sometimes I'll talk to people about this and they'll tell me it's all a bubble, it's all going to end, it's all going to die, it's going to be worth nothing. But I can tell you that smarter people than myself and much more accomplished people than myself are betting heavily into this field. MasterCard has just partnered up with Coinbase, so you'll be able to buy NFTs using a credit card. And Coinbase is actually releasing their own marketplace with over 2 million people in the waiting list. Nike just recently bought a company that's making shoes, but not real shoes. They're making NFT shoes. Adidas is also in this field as well. So a lot of people are bringing this in. Jefferies is expecting this market to double by 2025, which I think is a pretty modest estimate. So there's definitely lots of room to grow with the metaverse and NFT gaming just growing exponentially.
We've all seen Ready Player One. That's where the big money is if we really go that direction.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Signex right now? Is it Signex or Signex? There's another question.
Signex, Signex.io.
Signex.
Yeah.
It seems like there's some already happening right now in the crypto space when it comes to social and sentiment analysis. What's the moat that you guys have in terms of competing against the existing players, and as you grow, competing against people that try to come in and slit your throat, so to speak? Daniel Flynn wants to know that. It's BearCover.
Yeah, well, there's other products for crypto. There's a platform called Lunar Crush, which I'm a big fan of, that are doing social analysis, sentiment analysis for crypto. So I think they're doing things well, and we really wanted to go to a field that's currently doesn't have enough data for social analysis. And what was the other question?
Just in terms of how you'll build a moat. You talked about the marketplace a little. Is that your plan?
Yeah, we're planning on releasing our own marketplace by 2023. That's where we want to go. We think we have a lot of value. There's lots of competition in this place. OpenSea has a big chunk of the marketplace space, but our vision is that once you buy an NFT from us, you'll be able to see all the social stats and set triggers for buying or selling. And we think that's very important for NFT investors. And he also asked, well, what are we going to do with the competition that's going to come up ahead? First off, there's a big advantage for being first. So, you know, if we're able to grow a crowd around this platform and be able to be the first ones that are doing this, I think that's amazing. There's lots of platforms that people can build, but the first ones, the ones that really caught traction, are usually the ones that survive.
That is true, but I like Peter Thiel's adage a little bit better. You don't want to be the first, you want to be the last that people ever remember.
Absolutely.
But now I want to move on and move things over to Samantha with HipHipHub. Samantha, you are on the clock now. Let's make you the highlight so that everyone can see you and you can share your screen. HipHipHub's doing some really interesting stuff, at least if you're a parent and have kids. Samantha, I will let you take it away.
Great. You can see my screen just to check.
Golden.
Perfect. Just waiting for that to, seems to have frozen. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Samantha. I'm founder and CEO of HipHipHub AG. We are an online marketplace that makes planning a kids' party easy by matchmaking kids' party suppliers with parents. Intrigued? Okay, let me tell you some more. Being a parent is not easy at the best of times. However, when it comes to planning a kids' party, we've heard time and time again that parents are struggling. Why is that? Well, not only are they busy, but they lack ideas and inspiration. And, you know, honestly, they're bored of not wanting to copy the same lame ideas as all the other 15 kids in their child's class. Once Emma, our customer persona, has figured out what she wants to do, she ends up frustrated as she doesn't know who to trust and cannot easily find what she needs. The customer journey is fragmented, offline, and missing an all-in-one solution. Parents like Emma become their party superheroes in minutes at HipHipHub. Planning a kids' party can now be fun, effortless, and a rewarding experience. HipHipHub is uniquely combining a location marketplace like Airbnb, a product marketplace like Amazon, and a services marketplace like Fiverr. Using HipHipHub means planning a dream kids' party with ease. Our all-in-one marketplace provides peace of mind and enables gratifying parties. We are, however, a tech company and not an event planner. Our technology allows parents to find inspiration, search for what they need, see transparent pricing and availability, find trusted suppliers, see peer reviews and ratings, and a one-basket checkout with multiple suppliers using only one payment, and also with an option to send out your party invites as well. Our customer discovery calls showed that the spend on birthday parties is somewhere between 500 to 1,000 francs per child per year. Taking into account 5 markets, this gives us a TAM of around 52 billion, a SAM of 17 billion, and a SOM of around 84 million francs. We take a transaction cut on each side of the marketplace, a customer fee to cover payment processing and customer service, as well as a supplier lead generation fee to cover their shop-in-a-shop costs and marketing fees. Assuming the average basket is around 500 francs, this is then around 125 francs commission per transaction, with revenue commission by the end of 2025, which is in 3.5 years, expected to be around 9 million francs. We incorporated last summer and have been busy learning from our potential customers and building our MVP. We've just kicked off supplier registration and aim to launch the customer side in Q2. We will launch in Zurich as a micro market and expand from there. As a team, our combined experience of around 60 years in both corporate and the startup world, as well as our skill set in e-commerce, digital, tech, product, marketing, and business, make us a very strong and capable founding team. Join the party. Change the way that kids' parties are planned to a simple all-in-one marketplace. You can see more and find out more details at hiphiphub.com. And I'm happy to take your questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Samantha. And I'll kick off the questions. But first, again, guys, this is the Startup Tank. If you're just tuning in, this is our second session. We have upcoming sessions March 28th, April 11th, and April 25th. If you're interested, want to apply and to be one of the companies to pitch, please visit thestartuptank.com. So Samantha, one big question I have for you is, I see how it can be an incredibly powerful market, but it's also very local as well. What challenges do you see with the locality of the market and then how you grow and expand? You said you were starting in Zurich.
Yeah, exactly. I think it depends on the supplier. So some suppliers obviously are, very local. So if you're a location, then obviously your location is going to be in that local area. However, some suppliers will be nationwide. So such as decoration companies, they'll provide services all over the country. But our plan ultimately is to roll out city by city and to target only the big cities in terms of acquisition from our perspective, from a supplier side. And then obviously allow other people to sign up themselves if they want to. But in terms of where we put our effort, that would really be around the big cities and where we see the spend potential.
What do you see the biggest challenge with the business?
I think with any marketplace, it's always the chicken and egg, right? Which is, how do you get customers without suppliers and suppliers without customers? So one of the ways of overcoming that is really to start with a micro market. So we really said, okay, let's start with, we wanted to think about kids' parties in general, but we've already made it more niche by starting with birthday parties at the moment, and only starting in Zurich. So that's the way that we try to overcome that. And obviously we're learning at the moment as we've started now the supplier registration process.
Awesome. We've got a question from the audience. Again, if you have other questions, post them in the YouTube live chat, guys, and we'll open them up here. Drinking Game has a very pertinent question. Will you expand past kids' parties to other parties like Halloween parties or possibly drinking parties? What do you guys plan on for the future of growth?
Yeah, maybe not drinking parties. At the moment, our plan is to stay within the kids niche for the time being. We would start with kids' birthdays and grow from there into things like bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, communions, Halloween, Christmas, Easter, kind of any celebration you can imagine. And as we grow, maybe we can even, suggest some celebrations such as, your child lost their first tooth celebration, something to that effect. If we think about our audacious goal as a company, then yeah, we would love to be the party unicorn and be known for everything party related. But that's really, a few steps away from where we are right now.
And do you have any kind of dirty tactics that you can use for growing quickly? For instance, Airbnb stole apartments from Craigslist, and this has kind of been a time-honored tradition of piggybacking off someone else's work. What can you do to piggyback HipHipHub further?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of moms blogs, which list, of course, lots of potential suppliers. So we've been definitely piggybacking off of those to find our potential suppliers. In terms of customers, we also look at actual collaboration with some of those moms blogs because for them, it's something new that they can offer. So yeah, I mean, that's all we've come up with so far. So definitely open to ideas if anyone has any.
I imagine you could go on Yelp and find party suppliers and just reach out to them. You could probably even crawl that, pretend like they were already members and then send them business and then onboard them.
Exactly.
Those, always good strategies. Any other questions from the audience before we move on to BearCover? Okay, then I want to move on and hand the floor over to Daniel Flynn of BearCover. BearCover is doing something pretty interesting in that they're kind of solving the nursing home problem, so to speak. I'll let him clue you in on what exactly that nursing home problem is.
Super, thanks, Matt. Are you guys able to see everything okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Super. Okay, awesome. So hi, I'm Dan. I'm one of the co-founders of BearCover, and we're focused on providing excellent nighttime care for your aging loved ones in nursing homes everywhere. So what's the problem? Well, really simply, less staff at night perform less checks, which leads to more accidents in facility for your aging loved ones. What you may already know is that nursing homes, like the rest of the healthcare sector, are finding it difficult to hire and retain staff at nighttime. But what you may not know is that actually at nighttime, most accidents happen inside of residents' rooms where no one is around to see them. And it can often be hours before accidents or incidents or issues are discovered. There are already existing in-room sensors on the market, but these are often rejected due to the staff overhead of maintenance, the capex of installing these sensors into rooms and ceilings if they're good ones, and then the limited value they have for most residents who aren't necessarily high risk and require continuous monitoring. That's why BearCover has developed a robot that is able to see through closed doors from the corridor and send alerts directly to caregivers. With the same number of staff, nursing homes can now perform 10 to 20 times the number of checks on the residents without ever having to install a single device inside their private bedrooms. So how does it work? Well, basically, we combine an ultra-wideband radar sensor with a mobile autonomous robot, which allows us to see through closed doors and send push notifications to caregivers. We're able to see visual detections of people who are wandering corridors at nighttime, as well as detect walking when people are wandering or walking to and from the bathroom behind closed doors. And in the future, we think we can extend this technology to in-bed and out-of-bed detection, on the ground or fall detection, as well as too many occupant detection if there are multiple people in a room. So it's pretty simple to use. A smartphone application starts and stops the robot, returns it to the charger, and sends the alerts to the caregiver. We average a check every 15 to 20 minutes, so it's about 3 to 4 checks per hour. And in all of our test facilities, caregivers support the device as very, very helpful in their nightly activities in monitoring residents. So how do we differentiate ourselves from the competition? Well, we do this in 2 key ways. First of all, we require no in-room installation. This is super good for implementation, makes it very, very easy for nursing homes. And second of all, we cover all residents by default. Yeah, so a lot of solutions will focus on quote unquote high risk residents, but we actually cover everyone as standard. So this is a huge advantage versus traditional systems. So team is super important. And as a team, we've worked together for over 6 years. Most recently, we've actually lived and worked at nighttime in our nursing home clients' facilities to learn more about their problems. I won't go into too much detail. You can ask in the Q&A, but we have all of the relevant B2B, SaaS, enterprise sales experience, as well as mechanical and software engineering to make these devices a reality. And our clients think so too. So we're working with some of the largest nursing home providers here in Germany, actually some of the largest in Europe, which together have over 4,000 homes in their network alone. Yeah, so our business model is quite simple. We charge 399 euros per robot per month for an estimated ARR of about 20,000 euros per facility, and it costs us between 2,000 and 3,000 euros to make a device. In the future, we think we can get closer to about 40,000 euros ARR per facility and bring that cost down as we look to scale the devices. This gives us nice operating margins that we can ride on into the future and continue to deliver our service elsewhere. So we see this as a large and growing market as the world ages. We primarily target nursing homes in excess of 80 beds. So these are larger nursing facilities with a higher OPEX spend on staff. 10% of this market in Germany, we estimate to be about 30 million euros recurring, with about 20% of the 2 largest European markets, that's Germany and France, close to 80 million, 90 million euros recurring each year, with our eyes firmly set on the US expansion in the future. Our roadmap and milestones are pretty straightforward. We're in the pre-seed stage now. We want to stay very lean, build out our sales pipeline, and convert our existing pilots to full rollouts to show that conversion event. And then in seed, we want to work in Berlin with a small number of pilot homes, perfecting the device and working towards product market fit before expanding city by city and then going international. We are raising 400,000 euros to sign up to deliver our service to 5 facilities and sign up at least 10 more. We're looking for BAs with a healthcare, hardware, or insurance focus. We've already closed 100,000, including a small ticket from Earlybird, which is one of Germany's leading VC firms. And if there are any investors or people interested in robots or nursing homes, feel free to reach out. I'll put my details in the chat. Thank you very much, and I welcome your questions.
Thanks, Daniel. That was a great pitch there. Thank
you so much.
A little bit dystopian, using the robots to take care of the old people, but at the same time, if it's helping provide better service because they're understaffed, then I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah, for sure.
One thing I'm curious, what attracted you to this space? Because it's not by any means a sexy space when it comes to typical startups. What brought you here? And is that a challenge that you have with the business or with investors?
Yeah, so that's sort of a long question. A couple of years ago, myself and my co-founder, or one of my co-founders, met building a nursing care startup. So we actually were tackling a similar problem in the hospital space, which was supporting nurses in the handover of patient notes and information. And what we learned there was that kind of an influx of older people was putting the nursing home system or the hospital system under pressure. Flash forward a couple of years, how we got into this space was we were originally building devices for the home. Then Corona hit, and we thought of our elderly relatives and the people we knew that were cut off from their services. And then we met a nice guy who runs a nursing home, and we were already deep into this project. And he said to us in a meeting, he said, I have this problem. We're at nighttime, my residents fall or will wander off and fall, and I'll find them 3, 4, 5 hours later. And it's like very upsetting for the family, for the relatives, for my staff, and for our management. It's a huge problem. Could you do anything to fix this? And we were kind of in the right place at the right time with the right experience to then really pursue this problem. I just want to pick up on the end of that question, which was like, is it a challenge for us? I think that people often say you need to have expertise in an industry because that's often the easiest way to really understand the problems. There is often another approach, which is you just have to be really sure that you actually don't know anything. Yeah, so like in our case, we worked overnight in facilities. We shadowed staff on multiple nights. We even lived on site for 2.5 weeks working with the nighttime staff. So if you aren't an expert in your space, you really have to be receptive to the teachings that they have and really work extra hard to kind of push away all of the assumptions that you have, if that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense. And you guys, you've made some pretty good traction despite being pretty resource limited. And from what I understand, pretty much working out of your apartment as the office, as the home, as everything. How have you hustled to get to here? And how do you go from here to there? What's the scale up strategy? What's the growth strategy?
Sure. So how we hustled to here was pretty straightforward. Yeah. So we had like, let's say 100K of our own money to put into a startup. And the first thing we said is we have to cut burn. Yeah. So then we applied for a number of grants that were open to German-based startups. So we were incubated by a university here, which reduced our burn. And we raised a small round now and are continuing to raise to carry us into the future. So basically where we go from now is that we are slowly rolling out with our pilot facilities. So we have one live. They've been using it every night now for about 6 months. We do a second one at the end of this month, and then we do a third one now at the end of May. So we're basically building up our pilots, collecting all of the data and figuring out the return on investment for these facilities in our case. And we're going to use that as basically traction to show to investors, hey, look, this product is loved by this strange user group, and we've been able to acquire them. So our plan is really stay lean, stay completely focused on the customer journey and on what we have to do for our end users, if this makes sense.
That makes sense. And what's the best case scenario? What's the to the moon? How do you sell this to investors?
Well, it really depends on the investor. Yeah. So like the to the moon in our case is that, if you step outside of the healthcare industry for a moment, or even in the healthcare industry, it's pretty clear that the future of care, but either home or institutional care, is connected. Yes, there's a huge space for connected care devices to enter this sector, whether they're robots or otherwise. We think there's a huge place for a company that basically has a reputation for deploying devices that support staff. So that's one model. The second is then integrating other devices in a safe way that can continue to support staff and people receiving care. So we see a lot here. And then like the to the moon, the like crazy, 1% swing for the fences is like, if you believe that robotics is a technology that will take off in the next, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, then I'd be betting on companies that have figured out how to perfectly integrate software and hardware, as well as figure out distribution strategies and service models for tackling these sort of B2B markets. Yeah, I think that robotics will be B2B before it goes B2C. And our like 1% shot is that we can continue to grow as a robotics company into eventually other verticals that are, maybe even far away from the vertical that we're sitting in now, if this makes sense.
Awesome. And does anybody in the audience have more questions now for Daniel or for BearCover? If you do, post them now in the chat on YouTube. And again, if you're just listening to this via our podcast form, if you go to thestartuptank.com/YouTube, you can subscribe to our channel, get updates on our upcoming sessions, which will be March 28th, April 11th, April 25th. If you're listening to this, with more sessions coming soon. Again, thestartuptank.com for the latest. To apply as a startup, if you're an investor interested in joining our syndicate, you can find out more as well at thestartuptank.com/syndicate. Anybody have anything else for Daniel before we hand over to our next awesome founder? Okay, then I'm going to pass things over to Alex Wessner, who is trying to build, well, maybe a actually useful application of augmented reality. He's kind of trying to own the here and now metaverse, so to speak. He's going to make Zuckerberg jealous. Alex, you're up. Let's give you the highlight.
All right, cool. You can hear me, see everything okay?
Yes, you are up and on the clock.
All right, cool. Well, I'm Alex Wessner, founder and CEO of Xander. And yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about how we're going to use augmented listening to relieve hearing loss. So imagine you're at a drive-through and you're in your car and you're ordering meals for the family and the attendant is, "Welcome, uncle, can I help you order?" You can barely understand them. But this is how everyday conversations sound to people with hearing loss, with and without hearing aids. So how do we help the 48 million people in the US or the 460 million people worldwide who struggle every day with hearing loss? Businesses in the US have paid an average of $80,000 in fines for not providing accommodations for the deaf and hard of hearing. And Wells Fargo once paid a $17 million settlement. So what we believe is when people can't hear what you're saying, we can help them see what you're saying. So the first beachhead product we want to bring to market is called Captioned Tablet. It's a pretty simple concept. It's real-time captions from your employee to your guest. Imagine what it costs a business to ignore and alienate 1 out of every 6 customers who walks in the door. That's basically what's happening today. The Captioned Tablet will make customers more likely to purchase, return to the business, and refer their friends. It's really a no-brainer. First, it's the law. Businesses have to provide accommodations or they face federal legal action. This can benefit all guests. A portion of the screen can be used for announcements, information, promos. Will be HIPAA and FedRAMP compliant, ensuring data is private and secure. And small businesses in the US can even qualify to earn tax credits that can help cover the cost of the service because it's assistive technology. We can make a huge impact on the quality of life for people with hearing loss. Our business model will be based on a usage model for each tablet, so it's a recurring usage model of revenue. And we have a couple of good data points so far. The VA, the Veterans Administration, is very interested in what we're doing because they've already tried to solve this problem with a tablet, but they couldn't find a platform that met their privacy and security requirements, and we can. There are over 1,200 VA clinics nationwide that are serving our veterans. We also have a warm lead with Chase National Bank. They have over 5,000 branches nationwide. Our special sauce, we're really just combining great technologies, the tablet selection, choosing the microphones for the right properties, building this as an appliance, tuning the microphones for the acoustic environment, applying noise reduction to improve the accuracy, and guaranteeing privacy. We have a working prototype. We've got early validation. We have a team ready to go. We need the funding to build the software, start closing sales, and continue to iterate. The next product after that is caption glasses. This would empower people wherever they go. It's real-time captions in augmented reality smart glasses. We already have a working prototype. We have really strong customer validation, and we are equally excited about making this a reality. Our team here is built on passion and experience, and we're eager to get to market. So I am happy to take some questions and looking forward to connecting for more.
Thanks for sharing that. I never would have guessed this was such a big problem. I figured hearing aids would solve this problem. Hearing aids alone is a massive market, but A, some people don't wear them, or B, people like my father-in-law don't wear them well enough. And this is definitely a major problem. Where do you see your big challenges in rolling this out? Is this a big B2B sales play? How do you turn this into something that kind of becomes the standard?
Well, it's surprising that this doesn't already exist. But I think the big hurdles that we're seeing is if you look at where the biggest need are, it happens to be in the industries that are harder to get into. So it's financial services and healthcare and government, and there's a very strict privacy and security requirement. So I think that's actually the biggest hurdle for getting the B2B tablet in market. Our strategy for the glasses is actually to start with audiologists and people who take care of people with hearing loss. And what we've heard from audiologists is they would actually love to have a pair in the office. When someone comes in and they need help, they put on the pair of glasses, they have the conversation with people, and then they say, hey, these are really cool. Can I get them for myself? And then the audiologist can then dispense a pair for their patients. So it's like a B2B model, but then also a way for them to sell and make money on these as well. So that's how we plan to get to market with both of these.
One question I would have especially for the glasses, it makes sense much more with the tablet in the context of you're at a pharmacy or somewhere. How do I prevent the world from becoming horrible because I see everything that I'm hearing right in front of me? And then it's just like an endless loop.
Yeah. Well, I think the glasses, what we found, it's meant to be kind of situational. People aren't going to wear these all day. They just need them when they're having a conversation. And you can control where the captions sit, right? You can shrink them. You can put them in a location that's comfortable for you. For most people that have some hearing, they refer to the captions when they're missing a word or missing a phrase or a sentence. So it's not meant to be in your face, big and huge. It's supposed to be like the AR industry calls it information snacking. So it's supposed to be something that's available when you need it, but it doesn't have to like invade your life.
Any plans to have that technology, but applicable to more general purpose AR glasses or glasses in general?
Yeah, I think there's a big opportunity in AR in terms of audio analysis. There's so much being invested in facial recognition and recognizing objects, but there's very little happening in understanding the audio scene. And I think that's probably the biggest opportunity for us in the AR space is actually, understanding speech is first and foremost, but then what else is happening sonically in your environment that is important that you need to pay attention to?
Is this tech you could license? Imagine the Apple AirPods, them licensing it. How many old people have Apple products? I imagine you could really make a market there because you have great technology. What's your IP, I guess I'm asking? Yeah,
the plan is to really to develop this out as a software platform and then put the experience on the devices that make sense. So to empower a person, like glasses make much more sense than this on a phone. Phone is a horrible experience. For a business, using a tablet is really interesting and compelling. So that's the idea, is we're going to build the software experience optimized for whatever device makes the most sense. So we can go to market by partnering with a company that makes these glasses. And as other glasses and devices come available, whether these or attachment devices or whatever, we can adapt the software and the experience to that.
What's the biggest challenge you're having right now? Obviously, you're trying to fundraise. What's the biggest challenge, both business-wise and then convincing investors-wise?
The biggest challenge is in the convincing of investors, because what I learned is once you talk about hearing loss, people kind of tune out. They're like, oh, that's a niche problem. And that's an old person in a nursing home with no money. And it's really hard to get them back into, no, wait, this is actually a huge problem that many people face. And so if I can't sell you on the empathy of the problem, I might as well just hang up and go on to the next person. So that's the biggest challenge, is just creating the empathy for the customer. The challenge for the business really is, I would say that we're kind of ready to go. I think this data strategy is going to be key to get right in terms of being able to capture the data that we can use, but also doing it in a way that is friendly for the customers and private and secure, and doesn't raise any alarms.
Yeah, Lancelot Frame wanted to know that. And I know I personally don't want Alexa or Facebook or any of them in my house listening, but how do you deal with those data privacy, especially with the UK, with GDPR, with a lot of these, or in the US, there's HIPAA and everything involved there?
Yeah. The data has to be stored securely. And so it has to be stored on a server that is HIPAA compliant and for the government, FedRAMP compliant. So the server itself has to be secure and safe. And then the customer, whether they're a business or an individual, can opt out, right? So if they don't want to have their data stored, they don't have to. I think we'll try to sell them on the benefits of why they should or could. We toyed around with playing with different pricing models. I'm not super keen on that, but you could, charge more for privacy or charge or give a discount if we can use data for performance optimizations. I'm not sure how that'll play out, but that would be a way to incentivize for customers to share. We can provide services on top of the data that they provide, especially for businesses.
I'd be careful with some of that. It gets real dystopian real fast. Did you say bikini?
It totally does.
Here's the
yeah.
prettiest, here's the best ones on Instagram. You can go shopping now.
Yeah, I really don't want to go down that path, but we want to be able to improve the experience. And so if we have data and we can correct and make the accuracy better or make the experience better based on the data we're getting, like that actually helps the customers, right? So we want to be able to improve the product, but not in a way that goes down that horrible dystopian path.
Kristen had a phenomenal question as well, is the applications when it comes to language translation services.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that a lot. I have to look up what the market is. I think, yes, you can do translation. One problem is that it's not two-way, right? So I could understand what someone's saying, but then I wouldn't be able to speak back to that other person. So you'd have to sell 2 pairs of glasses, one for each person in the conversation. The other is that I found that the pain is not really deep enough. I mean, with hearing loss, people spend thousands of dollars on hearing aids that aren't working because they can't hear anything. I think the pain or the problem in the translation market may not be worth spending $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 on a fancy pair of glasses. That's what I'm seeing right now in our early testing.
Unless your app integrated automatically with Apple's glasses and they already have the glasses, then suddenly you're looking at something. Okay, guys, we're going to take a break now after Xander and have a quick poll. Favorite startup of the night so far? We've had 4 great companies present: Signex, HipHipHub, BearCover, and Xander. Who's leading the way so far? Which company do you guys love the most? Who would you invest in or want to join? Who do you think has the biggest potential? Just share your thoughts now in the YouTube live chat. And while we're taking this pause here and you guys are voting, again, I'll take the time to tell you this whole thing, the Startup Tank, the startuptank.com, it's all brought to you by the Syndicate, where we invest in early stage, pre-seed to Series A companies that are really changing the world. Founders doing incredible things, solving big problems, and tackling, moving towards building the world into a better place. That's what we try to focus on. If you're interested in learning more, the startuptank.com/syndicate, SYNDICATE. You have to spell it out. You've got a little trouble on the fly. It's the startuptank.com/the syndicate. And if you're interested in applying to a pitch at one of our upcoming sessions or applying for funding from the syndicate, visit the startuptank.com/apply and put in your information. If you're a great fit, we'll get you on one of our upcoming sessions. Things are moving forward. We've got investors coming in, more investors through the syndicate, and more people through our network. We love helping great founders get funded. Speaking of great founders, we're going to move on to the next one. And it looks like we have Singularity X Studios presenting, but we can just call them Legend X. They're basically building the next generation of Web3 NFT-enabled gaming, making gaming that's awesome. And I will let Liam take that one away from you. Liam, are you ready to take over?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to share my screen now. Today, I'm also going to be presenting with my co-founder, Tiago. Okay,
Hello there, everyone. Thank you guys so much for your time. We are Singularity X Studios. Liam is my co-founder. And yeah, let's get to it.
All right, so our very first game in our product pipeline is called Legends X. Legends X is a thrilling and immersive PvP video game that integrates an NFT marketplace. Users are able to trade, buy, and sell their in-game skins. So current crypto games are getting a lot of traction right now, but there are actually a lot of problems on the market right now. The first one being there's really a lack of focus on the actual gameplay itself. And a lot of these crypto companies are just focusing on the crypto aspect. Look at a lot of data on the market right now. Everybody's just saying, hey, we want a great game. The second problem is that there's a lot of barriers of entry, and traditional gamers are not going to be able to understand and really make the jump into the NFT space. So for instance, some of the barriers include connecting a digital wallet, using exchanges, understanding what a DAO is, right? These are things that native crypto investors understand, but they're not what traditional gamers understand. And then lastly, there's a lack of cross compatibility, right? A lot of games on the market are simply just appealing to just a PC platform or just iOS or Android. So some of the things that make us very unique and how we're planning on solving this is our main focus is we're developing an exceptional product. Tiago and I have been playing video games our whole life, and we know what is a good game and what isn't a good game. And unfortunately, like I mentioned, a lot of the products right now are just not fun games. So we're building our game around consumers and what the traditional gaming market is going to like. Next, we're going to allow practically no barriers of entry. No barriers of entry. The game is going to be free to play. It's not going to require a digital wallet. All you have to do is simply download our game, enter, and you can play immediately. In terms of the NFT space, well, we're going to use layman terms for people to understand, and it's going to be very, very simple for everyday gamers to enter and use intuitively. Next, we already have solved the cross-platform solution. So we're able to play, you're able to play Legends X on iOS, Android, and PC. And on PC, you can play it on your Windows, your Mac, and Linux. So the current market size for the current crypto market right now is, well, an interesting stat is that it's $2.32 billion during the Q3 market of 2021. And what's really interesting and what a really interesting market trend is that there's almost a 2,500% increase in gaming wallets. So we're already starting to see people make that jump. Now, I want to put this in comparison. The traditional gaming market is so big, it's huge. There's almost 3 billion players worldwide. And in 2021, the market was $175 billion.
All right, so we have a little product overview here where we can see it, a little bit of our prototype, which we already tested with a bunch of people. People had really a lot of fun. We went through a lot of different variations of the game, always, being user, focused essentially. So we even tested with a couple of pro players. The game is really fun to play. And of course, this is a prototype. It's not finished by any means. There's a lot of features we're gonna, include and so forth. But yeah, that's a little bit of our product overview on how it is right now. It's also playable. You can go download and play on your PC, Linux, Mac, whatever you're using. Not only that, but the game is built on Unity. And it's one of the two major platforms for developing games, and developers really like it. And next slide. We tested with about 400 testers. A bunch of them really liked it. About 93%, 92% of them enjoyed the early version of our game. And that's really exciting, right? It's the moment where you notice that, you really have something here that people want to play. Some of our testers, we couldn't even stop them from testing the game. They're like, no, come on, let me just play a little bit more. And next slide.
Okay, so how we're going to monetize this is using our 3-pillar strategy. The first being microtransactions. So what does that mean? Essentially, gamers are going to log in and they're going to be able to buy our skins that we provide. Skins are basically in-game avatars where you can sort of express yourself virtually in a sense, right? So if you've ever played Fortnite, for instance, there are things like the avatars that they provide. So this is going to range from about $3 to $10,000. Surprisingly, it actually goes that high in this market. In addition, in our marketplace, we're also going to charge a 5% transaction fee. And last, we're also going to include a battle pass, which essentially a battle pass is just an additional offering where users can complete challenges and they can gain additional skins that are exclusive. And this is going to be priced at $7 per month. So some of our competition is gaining a lot of traction right now, right? Axie Infinity, League of Kingdoms, Ember Sword, and Illuvium. 2 projects that I really want to mention is Ember Sword and Illuvium. These companies are very well funded. And like I mentioned, they have a lot of traction. Now, one of the key things that is separating us, like I mentioned at the beginning, is we're creating a very immersive game. But the biggest thing is that we're positioning ourselves for gamers that are interested in NFTs, whereas our competition is positioned for crypto investors that are interested in gaming. It's a very big distinction. And a way that I'd like to outline this is some of the competition that I mentioned is they're targeting for people that understand a lot of these complex terminologies, and it's really creating a lot of barriers of entry for the traditional $175 billion gaming industry. So we want to be the bridge that allows the traditional gaming market into the NFT space, into the NFT gaming space. So yeah, that's one of the biggest separations that we have right now, and we're actually one of the first to market.
And here we have our team. So, I'm the CEO. There's also Liam there. I've had a couple of profitable projects in the past where I was the lead of the project. I was the one that said, "Hey, there's a hole in the market here, and I know we can make money." I convinced a couple of people, managed about a little bit over 100 people in my 26 years of experience. And it's just, I'm just really proud to say I've always paid, all my workers, and I always profit off my projects. This project does take a little bit more money, so we're going to need a little bit of investment here. And there's also Liam, who has this whole experience of working in research and development and in business. But I think the biggest takeaway here is that me and Liam had very promising jobs, and we quit our jobs to focus 100% on this. This is how much we trust this is going to make money. And yeah, we can also go to the next slide with our advisory board. We got people from EA Sports with 20 years of experience in game development. We got people from WeWork, PlayStation, and also Victory Square Technology. And here we have our ask. We're asking for $750,000 for 20% of the company. And thank you guys so much for your time for listening. We're open for questions.
Awesome. Thanks for pitching, guys. I know a game studio is a little hard. You can have a huge hit, a huge success, but it's also very hits driven. How do you handle that? What are your plans for Singularity X in terms of how you build this into a venture scale business when there is that hits driven nature of gaming?
Yeah, I mean,
so
there's.
Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, no, you go ahead, Tibble.
Yeah, so we studied quite a lot the history of gaming and what worked and what didn't. It is really hit or miss. And, at the end of the day, it comes down to, the major problems of other games. Not enough marketing. You can build the best video game in the world, but if no one knows about it, no one's going to play. We have some really solid marketing strategies. And at the end of the day, I had projects that went viral, as in, famous artists came to comment about it and so forth. Had sold out events in the past. So I'm relying a little bit on my experience in the past. And, with an event, you got a limited amount of people you can get in there. But with the game, the limit is the sky. So we're going off with, our experience of not only understanding what games work or not, but also on our experience on past successful projects. And, if there's anything you want to add, Liam, go ahead.
Yeah. Just to quickly add to that, I think one of the biggest things that we're doing is we're one of the first to markets that's really going to allow traditional gamers to enter the space, and word travels fast, right? I mean, we've seen how big the traditional crypto gaming space is, but how we're separating ourselves. We strongly believe that we're able to separate ourselves and really get some really good traction for sure. That's really going to allow traditional gamers to enter the space.
We've got a couple of really good questions from the audience. I'll kick it off first with drinking games. Another great question. Why NFTs when other games themselves are just using digital goods to make their money? For instance, Epic makes almost all their money from skins.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, one of the things that NFTs provide, or at least the blockchain provides, is it allows a secondary market, right? So if I want to go on and play Fortnite, I can really only trade my skin and then that's it. It kind of just ends there. But with what our platform is doing is we're having our marketplace, and we're utilizing the blockchain to allow users to trade their skins and buy and sell skins amongst each other. In addition to that, it also provides proof of ownership of the skin. And in the future, we do plan on allowing users to take that skin and add it to another game. So that's one of the ways to answer your question.
And not only that, and thank you so much for the great question, Drinking Game. I think that's the username. Not only that, but once you quit a game, you could have spent, $100 on skins, but you never get that money back. While with the NFTs, we can essentially, when you're going out of the game, you can sell them. And that's a very solid point, right? Like your money isn't like completely stuck there. You can sell it to other users and essentially get your money back for your skins, and maybe even make some money through all your hard-earned, grinding.
That leads into a good question from Big Wing Tech. If you don't use digital wallets, how are people withdrawing or depositing funds?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question. So what we're doing is we're in negotiations with this company called Uphold, and they've essentially allowed users to create an account very, very easy and very, very seamlessly. All you have to do is essentially, use your credit card, and the account is actually linked to a digital wallet, but users don't actually have to do that. It's already built in. And so you use your credit card, and everything is seamlessly attached to your wallet address.
Okay, and another solid question that we got from Drew Doe. Streams recently banned NFT games, and the overall sentiment for NFT gamers, sentiment for NFT games among gamers seems to be negative because of the stigmas. How do you guys get around that? And what platforms are you planning on launching? And what do you do if other platforms ban NFT games?
That's that's always been the thing with NFTs, right? Is it's a very new market, and we're very early, right? And so some people don't believe in it. And that's just one of the challenges that everybody in this industry is facing. But at the end of the day, from our point of view and from the data that we've seen, there are a lot of trends favoring that way. And at the end of the day, I think once users really realize that they can earn an income from playing this, an NFT video game, I think we're going to start seeing the jump and start to see more and more people sort of embrace it. And like I mentioned, right, it's still very early, but we plan on just marketing the hell out of it, and
how do you plan on marketing it? That would be my follow-up question. You mentioned marketing quite a few times, and that you had a good plan and that you've got some experience. How do you plan on marketing something like this?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest things is building a community, right? That's what we see in every single NFT project. And so actually on Friday, we hired a community manager to work full-time on building our Discord, building our Twitter, and building our Telegram. In addition to that, we're also going to be partnering with nano and micro influencers. We've already aggregated an entire list of people very, very interested. And obviously, once we raise the money, we can start furthering those partnerships. But yeah, it's really just all the time that we've spent, being in constant contact with these influencers. And yeah, they want to promote the game. They really like it. So
how far along is the game? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and just going back to the question about the NFTs, our focus is on making the game fun. So if people are having fun, and it's getting traction, and people are playing because it's fun, we don't see the NFT as something that could hurt the game in any way. But I'm sorry, Matt, you were asking a question.
Yeah. What was I asking? Oh, so as a game studio, it is hits driven. Do you have a portfolio approach? Is this is this one in a series of games you're planning? And B, how far along is the game currently? You said you need more money for development.
Yeah. So we need about 8 more months with development money to launch an alpha version, and then go for another round for marketing and so forth, so we can really hit a lot of people. And the other question, Liam, if you want to take it.
Yeah, so we actually do have future plans to add more games in our product pipeline. We actually have already released a very, very small indie game. We do plan on, we are still in sort of early idea generation phase where, we're thinking of creating a platform in the future, and kind of one of the ways that we plan on funding that is taking some of our profits from Legends X to fund these future games and platforms.
Okay. And does anybody else in the audience have any questions for Singularity X and Legends X?
All right. Thank you so much for having us, Matt.
Yeah, thanks so much for presenting, guys. That was a great presentation. It's interesting. It's a up and coming space. I think there's a lot happening in the gaming space, especially, and in the NFT and crypto space as a whole. I think there's a lot of viral mechanics you guys will be able to play with, which is what makes this interesting. People want to make money. Oh, that's interesting. One last question for you. Big Wing Tech again. He runs the Orlando Unity user group, and he's wondering, in terms of marketing, why don't you guys approach Unity as a verified solutions provider?
Yeah, that's something that.
And founders, make sure you post your contact details in the YouTube chat so that anyone who wants to reach out can. Maybe you connect with Big Wing Tech and work something out there. That could definitely be interesting. That's one of the purposes of the tank. Is it's not just funding, it's also getting in front of other interesting people in the space, good questions, good connections, maybe some co-founders or some other employees. If you're interested in learning more about us and what we do and how we're working on turning this into the top pitch show online, visit thestartuptank.com.